Ship doesn't really go faster than light. What it does is it creates a dimensional gateway that allows it to jump instantaneously from one point of the universe to another light years away.
Where's she been for the last 7 years, Doctor?
That's what we're here to find out.
Hello, hello, hello. This is the Movie Club Podcast. I am your host, Stephen Mills. And my co-host today is...
Trae D. Price, the man so nice with the name that you gotta say twice. Roll them dice.
Trae D. Price. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for being on to discuss the 1997 sci-fi horror movie Event Horizon.
Event Horizon!
Event Horizon! Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who has also directed such movies as 1995's Mortal Kombat, 2002's Resident Evil, 2004's Alien vs. Predator, and I'm not going to get into the rest because he basically just directed the rest of the Resident Evil franchise.
Definitely a hit or miss guy.
I thought he was only misses before I saw this movie.
Oh.
And that will lead us into our non-spoiler chat. I didn't think that this movie was bad. Seeing his name attached to it, mm-hmm. and knowing what he's done before, which I've only seen him do movies that I don't like crap movies. Mm-hmm. But I like this movie. I liked it enough. I think it was entertaining enough, and I don't get why it's not as popular as like
other movies on the field.
No, I was gonna say something like Alien, but I get it's no Alien.
Is it though? Is it though?
No, I'm saying it's no Alien.
Is it though?
Are you saying that you would compare this to Alien?
I would say that it wears its influences on its sleeve.
Definitely. Okay. there's no like cat out there that's like
that is literally the only thing that they're missing is the cat.
Pretty much. But I mean, in terms of like a sci-fi horror movie post Alien, mm-hmm. it doesn't really do that much of its own thing, mm-hmm. and maybe until like the end,
right?
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, the thing is, like, the movie is good in its own accord, right? Like, mm-hmm. The movie does borrow from a lot of stuff, like the hell being another place, and it's spoilers, but it's not spoilers because it's Event Horizon. You see that in the trailer, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing, like, even the characters that are in it, and this is something we'll get into in the spoiler discussion, but the characters that kind of play roles that they play in other movies, or they're kind of in the same movie here that there would be in other movies, and I don't know, that kind of jumbles, but I'll get more specific into that later. But definitely it is from jump an Alien ripoff movie. It really is, unapologetically, because you have the crew of the Lewis and Clark, who are pretty much the crew of the Nostromo, literally going from the empty space vessel to motherfuckers waking up in pods to being sort of blue collar, like they're military personnel, obviously, yeah. Search and rescue, but they definitely follow a chain of command whereas the crew of the Nostromo are blue collar workers, pretty much, these miners who, these truck drivers, pretty much, who go in the interstellar spaceways, whereas we have here these guys that are like down to earth military people, like they're a crew, but they're obviously off the cuff type of crew. It hits all the same beats. The design is even kind of the same. Like if you
definitely.
Like if you put pictures of like their common areas together, it's like, oh, here's the breakfast scene from Alien. Here's this like morning scene, wake up scene from Event Horizon. But even with all of that, there's enough weird, and I think the characters kind of do a lot to make it its own. Like I can understand how this probably didn't, how it wasn't like, again, we'll talk about this later, but how it wasn't like well received back in the day, but how it would develop a cult following later on.
Yeah. I think I didn't know much about like the cult following or why it has a cult following, but I'm interested in investigating that because I'm like, this is a movie that I like and it's like good enough, and I see why it would have a cult following after not being received well. But I also like if people were like championing this movie, I don't get that. It's no, like I said, it's no Alien,
right?
But that's a high.
It's a high bar
to meet. But it does borrow a lot. But then it kind of does its own thing at the end. Which I like. Like I thought I knew where it was going, but then I like that it took a different turn.
I want to say a couple things here. Like I didn't know this was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and that's really telling. After hearing that, that's really telling. Like me and you talk a lot about like how directors have their like, I don't know, their things that they do in films, like pretty much their motifs they have in
their trademarks.
Films. Yeah. Somehow like supernatural action horror is kind of Paul W.S. Anderson's. I don't know. Like this feels like so much like Resident. It feels like a better Doom movie than the Doom movie that we got.
Huh.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about this movie. Like Paul W.S. Like when I say he's like hit or miss, I like Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
I like the first Resident Evil movie. I like this movie, and all of those kind of work in the same way to each other. Everything else after Resident Evil is complete and utter garbage. But like the first one actually feels like a Resident Evil game, and this feels like Doom. To a certain respect, it doesn't do like when the other Doom, like the actual Doom movie, where they just like it's kind of horrible for all of it. Then they put that one thing where it's like the sequence that looks like it came out of Doom game in order to appease the fans, and then goes back to being stupid. I don't know.
So yeah, well, I haven't played the Doom game, or I haven't seen the movie.
It's got The Rock, so
I was gonna say, doesn't it have The Rock?
It has The Rock and Carl Urban.
Carl Urban does some weird things. He makes some weird decisions.
Yeah, he does.
Isn't he really does. And then of course Dwayne Johnson's career before, like everything before the Scorpion King is just everything before, like I don't
Fast
even,
and Furious.
We're not. Yeah, everything like before that is just like like the Tooth Fairy and Forward.
The Longest Yard, not The Longest Yard, but whatever the football movie that he did was. Or was that the Tooth Fairy?
And then there was the.
Yeah.
Intentionally pauses.
But he's good now though, so yeah.
It's good now.
Whatever.
But Event Horizon, I wasn't expecting to. I don't know. I went into this movie with different expectations because I knew what the critics thought. I had seen the Rotten Tomatoes score for the critics, which obviously I don't know why I'm alluding to it. It's not good.
Yeah.
The Rotten Tomatoes score from the critics is not good. But so I was like expecting this to be like Alien versus Predator trash, but it wasn't. And that surprised me, but then it doesn't do anything like completely groundbreaking.
I also like Alien versus Predator. I was just putting that out there. No, don't hang up.
Trae was nice having you on the
don't kick me
podcast.
Off. No.
Join us next week when we have someone as a guest that's not Trae Price.
Oh God.
Thank you for listening.
just cuts to the end.
Turn on the mic and cut the feed. No, but I mean, I liked that movie as a kid.
We're gonna have to talk about that one. We're gonna have to watch that one. Got some words on that one.
We'll save that for our podcast where we intentionally watch bad movies. That we could have a. This is a behind the scenes note. We could have some podcast where one person likes a really bad movie and then has to defend the other person. But that's a separate. That's not this podcast that we're talking. But anyway, I feel like Event Horizon was well directed. Like there were some really good, well composed shots in here. Like nothing looked bad. Nothing looked Alien versus Predator, Mortal Kombat, every other movie that you named that you like from this director, bad. Like it didn't look bad. Like the movie looked good. Like, and I was like expecting to, like, the movie was going and going, and I was like, okay, at some point this movie's just going to turn into a complete schlock and I'm just going to hate it. But then it didn't. So, but it's also not like it's just not groundbreaking. And it does some original things, but it's also, like you said, like an Alien ripoff kind of. But it's hard to make an original sci-fi horror movie in space that is an Alien ripoff. Like you look at Underwater that came out recently.
Definitely an Alien ripoff.
It's definitely an Alien ripoff. It does some original things, but it's also like, it's at the core of it. It's an alien. Everything looks like an Alien ripoff. It's like you can't have a shark or a water creature that's in a horror movie that's not a Jaws ripoff, like The Meg or something like that. Unless you go like completely the other way, where it's just like action and basically Jaws meets the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, but I also think that people do that on purpose. Like, I truly do believe that they do that on purpose. Like, I think Underwater is intentionally, for the most part, because, again, we have those same scenes. Like, the thing is, if they would differentiate, like, varied, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's, like, a crew full of women and it's just, like, they don't fight a creature, or maybe one of them's becoming a creature or something like that. Like, you know, differentiate it that way. But it's literally the same scene where we have an introductory of characters who are all like tongue-in-cheek, who are, again, workers doing like blue-collar stuff, but handling, like, being in a very dangerous situation, being underwater where it's pressure and you can't leave because you can't breathe, but handling it like normal ass people would, I guess, in those situations. I don't know. I ain't never been in that situation. I live a very sheltered life, but then
you have a very sheltered life by not being put in those situations of being stuck underneath in the water,
yes,
with like or on a spaceship. Yeah.
I don't do blue collar work.
I thought you're talking about the blue collar work.
Yeah. Like, I don't work on like an oil rig out in the middle of an ocean or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I barely leave my apartment, but no, like, I feel like these are very deliberate things that, I don't know, this movie handles it well. Like, like I said, it does wear its references on its sleeve, but I think it does differentiate not enough, but just enough to make this a fun watch, at least. And that's why if my grade is going to be anything, this movie gets a straight passing C, because it's not a gangbusters movie. Like Paul W.S. Anderson, this is like, I don't even know where this is in your like movie echelon of what you've created or whatever. Like, I don't know if this is after Mortal Kombat or before.
No, it's at the top.
Is that was like his first?
It's at the top for me. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not talking about like in what order he made it in. Like, I don't know where this is and what order he's made it. Like, it's 1997. I don't know where
this was his second movie.
Is this is his second one?
Yeah. No. Wait. He did a movie that I've never heard of called Shopping. I thought it was like Sleep Shopping. He made a movie called Shopping, which I never heard of, which seems like the only down to earth, like regular, like not sci-fi movie at all. Which also doesn't have good reviews.
It's Paul W.S. I don't think people like him too much. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk. Paul, I'm trying to tell you that, you know, I think you did well here, and it definitely does. You can see how doing this has influenced you to do things not better, but the same. it shows like you ripping off Alien shows that you could adapt things, which is why I see why somebody would tap you to be like, hey, take this game, make it into a movie. Definitely see that. Now they need to stop because I don't want to see that Monster Hunter that you making because I feel like that's
Too late.
I've been seeing pictures. Boy, see me after class. But that is why I give you a C, and I feel like I give it to you fairly, sir.
See, I would give this movie a 6, which 6 out of 10, which is basically a C. Because it's like it's all right. It's better than like but it's also all right. It does, but also I wouldn't say this was a fun. I wouldn't say this. I can't say that this is a fun watch because I would say there's other movies, other sci-fi horror movies that you can watch that are more fun than this, like Underwater. Like I would suggest Underwater over this.
No.
Wow.
No. Finish your summary, but we will talk about it. Ooh.
Oh wow. Okay. So this is a well-directed movie, but it doesn't do enough until like maybe the last like 30, 15 minutes. It does have going for it is it's like 95 minutes long, which is just like it's pretty short. It doesn't go over what it needs to do. I feel like it's paced well and it doesn't take up too much time than it should. Yeah, I would say this movie's all right.
Yeah. All right.
All right, spoiler time.
Spoiler time. But no, okay. So first I want to start off with this movie definitely better than Underwater, bro. Like I'm just telling you right now, Underwater is trash in my book. Oh my god,
really?
Yeah,
trash.
Did you not listen to our movie club that we did on it? Go back and listen to it. I did not like that movie, bro. I did not like that movie. Jesus, that movie. Oh, it pissed me off. Anyway. But
really?
No, yeah, dude, so much. I was so bored in the theater, dude. Like I went to go see that in the theater, and I was bored with that shit.
I gave it a 7.
I gave that shit like a D, maybe. Maybe I gave it a D. But no. So the things that I think they do that this movie does very well that are different is a lot of the fact that this is like Alien, but it's also a really good psychological horror. I think that it does what, and this is like, and I can say this because this is like not one of the first. This is definitely not one of the first, but this is like earlier, so we haven't seen like a whole slew of these, type of movies where motherfuckers are dealing with hell, and they're dealing with like the ship is alive, and it's making them see things in their life that are the negatives, the evils, the dark places, or whatever Justin says in the movie. I think a lot of that is handled really well. Like it's just the Parker seeing her son, and that really draining on her. Sam Neill, Dr. Weir, who also I kind of like this, what I imagine the screenplay from this came from, but also at the same time your character name Weir. Like it's just one. It's like you wanted to write weird, but he's like, I don't have nothing creative, so I'm just gonna take the D off. Dr. Weird. Weird. I hate whoever did that. But Sam Neill playing like it's funny that he's in like I looked up a list of like Lovecraftian-ish movies, and he's in like 3 of them. Event Horizon. There's this other movie that I can't think of right now where it's like he's in an apartment and is like in a strange relationship with his wife or some shit like that, and it's very Lovecraftian. And then there's one that is an actual Lovecraft adaptation, the mountains from the Mountains of Madness or some shit like that he's in. So it's like he's the Lovecraftian dude. And what was you about to say?
No, I was just saying, that's interesting. I didn't know. Maybe he's just really into it.
Maybe so. And you can kind of see it in here. Like, I think Sam Neill plays a really good villain in this.
Oh, he
much
does.
Like the robot in Alien, but he definitely like it definitely. I watched a review of this beforehand because I had watched it a long time ago. Rewatched it recently because I've been really into Event Horizon kick, and I'm definitely going to rewatch this with Shaquille because this is. We've been going through like classic movies, and I feel like this is one to watch because I feel like this is an Alien ripoff done right.
Wow.
Yeah. but it's like Sam Neill, like the person I was watching a review of was like, oh, this is dumb, but I really think Sam Neill, like his slow descent into a genuine scientist trying to come reclaim, really not really caring about the rescue mission at all, I feel like, but just really want to be like, I want to get my ship back. I was really smart in making this thing. I want to get this thing back, but then succumbing to like the temptation of the ship and like slowly being like, yeah, we ain't leaving. You can't leave. And then just be like, he always does this thing whenever he's getting like into a altercation with somebody where he's just like, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like, you notice that?
Like sprawls out. He's like, oh no.
Like, I don't know if he's like one of those people that like watch a lot of karate movies and think like, I'm gonna do some karate shit. Just gets his ass whooped. But going from that to like, and now I'm just grabbing motherfuckers with one hand and just like throwing them away. And I'm a nemesis now, like from Resident Evil. Like, I think there's a really good slow descent. So I think this movie balances really well, not great, but just really well, the psychological horror into the crazy video game action horror. Also, before I lose this thought, there is I believe there was left out footage from this movie.
Huh.
Yeah, this movie, like, you remember the scenes where there's like little spliced in scenes of the torturing happening to the crew that he shows them, even though they're not. He's like, they're not dead. Like, but they will be. And this was going to happen to them. There was a lot more of that in the film that was cut out.
I read a little bit about how this movie had trouble with production and like the original cut was like 2 hours long or something like that. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know if I want to see that cut because I feel like that would be.
Apparently, real life, and this is coming from Wikipedia. I haven't really checked the sources of this, but apparently, real life amputees were used for special effects scenes. Probably the scenes like where the original crew, like they show that small clip of the video, where the original crew were like having a freaking sex party. Oh
yeah, the original Event Horizon crew.
Yeah. So they hired amputees to show off where crew members are mutilated, and there are pornographic film actors hired to make the sex and rape scenes more realistic and graphic.
Wow,
that is what we would have gotten.
I'm glad that I didn't watch that cut. I'm glad that that's not in here.
Right?
I feel like that would have just took it into like another realm. I feel like this is what would have started off torture porn if that would have been in here. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like this movie just doesn't need that for me.
Some people argue that it does need that, like because I think that it goes to the argument of it setting itself apart from Alien more. I think making this a little more of a extreme torture porn horror almost would do it for those people who are looking for that type of thing. Like I said, I enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
From what I got, I don't really need to see all that. I kind of went when the Dr. Weir had like DJ's body all hang up and with the guts. I was like, ugh, like this isn't that guy.
That reminded me of the TV show Hannibal. Like they have some kills like that in there.
I've not seen that show, but I know what you're talking about.
You probably, that made you go, you definitely don't want to watch that. And it's weird because that was on network television, and this is an R-rated movie, and that's
times have changed. Times have changed.
I wonder if the added shots and scenes, I wonder if that would make the general audiences dislike it more, and the audience like it more or dislike it more.
I don't know. That's a good question because I kind of wonder how audience because it's definitely pre like Hostel and all the other like horror shit. Human Centipede and all that stuff. How they view shock value horror. Yeah. I don't really know much about like the sensibilities of the time. I know like parents groups would probably be like, no, not in my house. But I think it could have worked. It probably could have worked. I mean, how studios are. They're afraid of that shit. It's like we're not going to take that chance because the studios are probably the ones who wanted it to veer more towards being Alien like because Alien is profitable. I mean, they made that. And then there was that other movie that's like before Underwater. I forget, Leviathan, I think it's called, that is also an Alien ripoff that's underwater. I think that's what it's called. It might be called something different. But I think, like I said, that's that intentional purpose of making it that profitable, putting people in that familiar headspace. And what Paul W.S. Anderson probably want to do is like, nah, I want to make that gritty shit.
Yeah.
So they film all these extra scenes, and then the studio gets to the cut like, nah, go take that out, cut that together. There you go. Yeah, we'll put that little blurry quick cut of the video in there.
I feel like that would have made. I feel like those scenes in there would have made me like, if there were like rape and torture scenes in this, I would have disliked this movie more. And I feel like that would have been more aligned for me with Paul W.S. Anderson's work.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So I don't know if this is the studio cut or if this is his cut, but I wonder if that other cut. Yeah, I wonder if this 2-hour cut is out there. Yeah, I wonder if it's actually out there.
I don't know.
But something that I really wanted to point out, that some of the sound effects were really out there, like over the top, like video gamey.
Yeah,
that was.
They
like
definitely got the
Mortal
stock library punches and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they just like didn't put it into the world or something. It was just like, oh.
I think the fire effect with Miller was having his like flashback, like the whoosh.
Yeah,
Dude
I didn't like
fire
that.
Hadouken.
I didn't like that fire Hadouken.
Yeah,
it was
a bit much.
The whole like, you let me burn part. I was just like, I get it.
I liked it up until the fire Hadouken. Like I liked what it was doing. And the effect was pretty grim. Like you actually seeing like this, and I'm putting my headspace into the time of it. You know what I mean? This is 1997. Right. This is before like we seeing this shit on the reg. But like seeing a dude just sitting there burning to a crisp, and like seeing that shit happen and imagining yourself in like Miller's shoes, and it's like, no, that's gritty and real. But then he does the fire Hadouken, and I'm like, all right, bro, like,
yeah, what we doing here? Something else I noticed about the ending is there was like terrible ADR at the very end, like the very last few shots where he was like, no, we're safe after she had the dream. He was like, no, we're safe, and like his mouth wasn't moving like at all, and it was like that for the last like 1 minute. They just put ADR over his mouth for like, but it I don't know, it was weird. Like I said earlier, my rating is 6.
Yeah.
And you said yours is a C?
Yeah.
C+. So let's look at the box office for this. Back in 1997, this movie made $26 million, and it had a budget of $60 million. So it flopped at the box office financially.
Yep.
Totally. Didn't even make its money back, and then whatever money went into marketing too. But then it's a cult movie. Like it's found its following afterward, which is good for it now. But I guess that's why there's no Event Horizon 2.
Which would you like? What like following the Alien trend? You have Event Horizon, and you have this one crew dealing with the unknown horrors of the Event Horizon ship having returned from hell. So following suit in Event Horizons, you would obviously then have like, okay, you've had like a search and rescue crew. Now it's like, okay, this ship is an actual threat. We need a military crew, the group of space marines to go take the ship down. Just like actual guns like, ablazing.
Yeah, just like going into the ship and just like shooting at the walls and stuff. Yeah. That would just be ridiculous. I'm glad they didn't make it on Horizons. But I did really like the ending and the hell bit, and like coming back from hell. I liked that Sam Neill as a villain didn't just kill the entire crew, and was his main thing. He was like, you think you've seen everything. He was like, but we're gonna go back to hell and stuff like that. I'm like gonna show them hell. Like that was interesting.
Yeah.
Too bad it didn't happen. But
rooting for the villain.
But the idea of it was of them being like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go back to hell, and like that is a scary thing. I thought for a second, like I believed that was where the movie was going to turn, and we were going to see hell and all that stuff. I don't know how well that the effects would have stood up or anything like
Probably
that.
like the same about a Spawn or some shit.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You ever seen Spawn?
Haven't seen Spawn.
Crazy.
I'll watch the remake when it comes out. The Blumhouse.
Yeah, whenever it comes out. Yeah.
That'll
come out about the same time as Uncharted, Cowboy Bebop, live action Akira, and every other thing.
Oof. What? Deep cut there with Akira live action.
Come on, bro. There's just like a list of movies that are in a race now, like to see who's gonna come out first.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on Event Horizon?
No, all good.
Neither do I. So, I just want to say thank you for listening to the Movie Club podcast. Trae, Deep Price, thank you for being on.
Yeah.
I really appreciated this talk. And make sure you listen to the next episode. Goodbye.
The ship is reacting to us, and the reactions are getting stronger.
What are you telling me? That this ship is alive?
I have such one thing to show you.
Oh my God.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Make sure that you check out the other shows that we have on the Facebook, the other main podcast that comes out every other Tuesday. Make sure you leave a like, share it with your friends and your family. Go check out our YouTube where we have content from other Production 1200 works. And make sure you follow us on the Instagram. We post sometimes there. We'll do more. We'll try. Maybe. Like us on iTunes podcast, rate and review. Give us them 5 stars. And we'll see you next time.